Alright, let's go. Oh no, we're back here again. The steel walls, the hard surface of the bed, I'm back inside the spaceship. The door is locked. I already tried stepping on the mechanism and it wouldn't budge. My clothes, the one I wore when I was taken, they're left behind on the planet. I'm lucky enough to have my cell phone with me, something they haven't taken away. Perhaps they never realized its significance. Time has gotten a bit fuzzy with me. I don't know how long I spent in that cell. Weeks? Months? I've been so sick I can barely put together my memories. There's one thing I do remember crystal clear. Lana, Bilius, and Eok are all with the Resistance. The rebels. Lana especially seemed to be very important, but I couldn't tell anyone. Not only was I sick, but even Bilius warned me not to say anything. I'm an outsider. I shouldn't care, but I feel very deceived. It's not that they're rebels. I honestly do not care. But I liked Eok. I was fond of him. To find out it was most likely an act all this time. Oh, I don't know why it bothers me so much. The door to my room opens. My eyes instantly lock onto the entrance. It's just a soldier I don't recognize carrying a tray of food. Eat, he says, placing it on the floor. Wait, I tell him as I see him getting ready to leave. Where's Eok? Did he come too? I need to speak with him. The soldier looks annoyed. What do you want with a grunt? He huffs. If only you knew how much more he is than that. Tell him I want to talk to him. The soldier doesn't bother acknowledging me anymore and leaves the room. Exasperated, I eat the food he delivered. Say mush again. A day later, I get another visitor delivering food, but this time I recognize them. Eok, I say with an unintended amount of disdain behind it. Oh, okay. Eok. He stands to the side, not looking me in the eye. He places the tray down on the floor. Eok, talk to me. You have a lot of explaining to do, I say. Eok clears his throat. Princess, eat, he says in his typical scraggly voice. Drop the act, I warn him, getting up from my bed. That day, what did I walk into? Eok's shoulders slump and he sighs. Nothing you should concern yourself with. His voice is clear and his grammar correct. What were you going to do with Prince Nornus? What happened to him? I fire off my questions. I don't know anything at all. Whatever happened after I was put into a cell is a mystery to me. The young prince is doing fine, he drawls out, still avoiding my eyes. It is he who you should thank for still being alive. What do you mean? Captain James was the one that negotiated for my life, I point out. Eok shakes his head. That's a separate issue. The people I work with, they couldn't let you go. You and the prince knew too much. Then he finally does make eye contact with me. In return for his silence, we cut a deal to keep you alive. I feel my heart beat faster. They kept me alive, which means... You were going to kill me, I state in a small voice. Eok looks down at the floor. It is not my decision to make. I feel horrified. To think I had any amount of trust in him. He completely played me. Fooled me. I'm so disgusted. Making everyone think you're just some insignificant grunt, speaking strangely, lowering down people's guards. I start to rant. I bet you giving me your maquette was also part of that plan, just to lure me into a false sense of... I did not deceive you, princess. He cuts me off with a shrill voice. Princess, you're an anomaly no one was prepared for, he explains with a sigh. New plans had to be made, but my decision to give you my maquette was all part of my own volition. And I hope the princess's own feelings were as genuine as mine when you gave me your own maquette. That's because I didn't know you were going to kill me back then, I yell. I vouched for you, Eok raises his voice. Princess Lana wasn't convinced until I suggested the deal with the Prince Nornus. Does she fucking hate me now? You're saying Princess Lana wanted me dead. There is a lot to unpack here, but Princess Valkii, I am on your side. She certainly isn't. What about her brother? Does Captain James know? I question him. James was the one that wanted to keep me alive. Even that bit he said at the end, right before getting flogged, a life for a life. That doesn't sound like someone who would conspire to have me killed. Captain James is unaware of our involvement with the Resistance. With how big of a lapdop Caleb seems, I doubt he knows either. Yeah, he seems to be in love with Veritas. Which means I know their dirty little secret, a secret people were willing to kill me over. And I really trust what Eok is saying. He vouched for me. It's hard to believe. But I do know I'm alive on a ship filled with soldiers that are not friendly to rebels. If James knew Eok belongs with the rebels, he'd probably get spaced on the spot. Which means I hold all the cards. I could use this. I don't really want to, though. But I have to choose the fierce option. If you don't want me spilling your secret to the captain, you're going to help me escape, I threaten him. If Eok doesn't want this information getting out to a certain high-ranking captain, then he'll have to help me escape as soon as we're on Earth. When we arrive on Earth, I want you to help me get out and escape before Captain James can negotiate. Eok snorts, mildly amused. Princess Valkii, there's no need to threaten me, he says with a small chuckle. That's already part of the plan. Surprised, my eyebrows raise high in response. What? I'm stupefied. Princess Valkii, I'm helping you escape. What? I repeat again, unable to say anything else. Like I said before, you're an anomaly. We had to improvise and change our plans. It suits us much more if negotiations with HX-108 do not proceed as planned. Oh, you're just using me as a pawn. Eok sighs once more. I was the one to suggest the idea. He takes a step closer to me. Everyone who has been wrongly taken prisoner deserves their freedom, especially someone with a kind heart like you. This time I close my mouth. I can't tell if he's serious or not. Am I just being used in his plans, or does he really want to help me escape? I think he wants to help me escape because he, saved me from Nornus's attack. You get to go back to your family, he says with a soft smile. Isn't that what you want? I desperately want to go back to my family, to get to live a normal life again. But what about you? I ask. This is not going to end well. Earth will be much better prepared for the second round of invasions. The first time we were caught off guard, but I'm sure preparations have been made by the Forrester Incorporation at least. You'll get caught in the crossfire. That is all right with me. I'm prepared to perish in battle for what I believe in. And just like that, my sympathy returns in full force. If what he's saying is true, then he really does intend to die to give me back my freedom. What exactly are you fighting for? I ask. Eok closes his eyes, his demeanor changing. That's a very broad question. I think you owe it to me to explain. It doesn't seem like you want to attack Earth. You're right, I don't. The Resistance doesn't care about intergalactic war or conquest. We have no intention of conquering your planet. But you're here, I point out, on this ship, just like the first time. He heaves a sigh. I slip through the ranks and act as a spy. Soldiers don't pay attention to me, as I'm just a lowly grunt who can't even speak right. That much has been obvious, that it's all been an act. Has his kindness also been an act? You being friendly with me, was that just acting as well? I ask sadly. Eok smiles. No, Princess Valkii has continually surprised me. I am enamored. I hope what you said at the marker can still be true, that we are friends. Something inside me melts at his words. Again, we're on the same side. Lord Veritas took over my planet, and he intends to do the same to yours. I thought you said he saved your planet. Yes and no. It's complicated, but Lord Veritas arrived on planet Yule when I was very young and executed our ruling royal family. This only makes me wonder how old Eok is. What about Princess Lana? She wanted me dead. It's nothing personal, he says. My life is very personal, I quickly react. Princess Valkii, you will need to know that the Resistance is actively working to fight against Lord Veritas and dethrone him. Princess Lana is on the forefront of that. You mean she's your leader? That is starting to make sense. Her frequent disappearances, the reason she had to wear a tracker, all those soldiers that were strangely respectful towards her. One of them, yes. And she's conspiring against her own brothers. Eok looks a little distraught. The reality is a lot more complicated, Princess. I can't... Nothing. The door to the room opens up, startling both of us. Caleb walks in. It's the first time I've seen him on the spaceship. Princess Valkii, the captain wants to see you. Eok will take Princess, Eok interjects, having easily switched to his other persona. No, Captain James asked me. You, come. Caleb grabs my arm and pulls me along. I guess I won't get all the answers right away. Eok's eyes are fixated on me, filled with a mixture of worry and fear. I won't tell him. I reassure him in a small whisper as I pass Eok. You're my buddy. You're my little buddy. It's a little stiff walking with Caleb like this. I don't have very fond memories of him the last time we interacted, which was when he was beating James to a near pulp. He keeps quiet, strictly professional. I have to ask. Captain Caleb, I start, my voice betraying my hesitation. Why did you agree to punish Captain James? His eyes fall upon me, and it's this unfamiliar gaze. I will do whatever Lord Veritas commands me, he explains. Including taking over your planet if that's what it takes, he warns me. It doesn't seem like he would change his mind or loyalty to Veritas. He's a very devout follower if he has no issues beating his own sibling just because his lord said so. I keep quiet for the rest of the way. He was so nice before. Once more, I've arrived at James's room. I'm getting flashbacks of the time I tried to feel for his heart, and heard that strange heartbeat. Captain, I brought the princess, Caleb announces. Let's get a quick screen. Sitting at his desk, James as usual doesn't look up and merely gestures at Caleb to leave. There's not much love between them, is there? Caleb bows and leaves the room. It's still a little strange to see James with longer hair. Just how long was I locked up in that cell? James stands up from his desk, walking over to the vaults behind him. He opens one of them up and retrieves a small vial. Is that the saffron root? I wouldn't need to take it anymore now that I'm in space, right? Healer Bilius wanted to make sure you could survive the trip and asked me to administer these to you. His voice is cold and unfamiliar. Come here, he commands, noticing I've been idling by the entrance. Hesitantly, I walk towards him. What is it? I ask, seeing the vial. James takes out a syringe and sucks up the contents from the vial. Medicine, is his simple answer. Give me your arm. It's not a question as he grabs my left arm. Healer Bilius said you were still recovering from the Rickety virus and should continue to take a shot every 3 days until the end of the trip. I feel fine, though, I mutter. But I guess I should trust what Bilius knows about an unknown alien virus. I'm just happy I'm back to normal. I'd rather not have a dead princess on my ship when we arrive, he says, irritated. His fingers touch my arm, making me flinch unexpectedly. His eyebrows furl as he detects something on my skin. What's this? He's referring to the fading mark on my arm, the one I got from Caleb's whip. I had to stitch it myself. A wound, I reply in a simple manner. I have eyes, princess. What I mean is, where did this come from? Tell me. Captain Caleb's whip, I answer. James pauses, his eyes slightly widened, as if he doesn't quite understand. He twists my arm, inspecting it on all sides. The wound travels from my elbow to my wrist. How? I tried to shield you. I quickly cut him off. Shield me? He echoes incredulously. This seems a little awkward to admit. You were passed out. He was going to beat you to death. I couldn't... You couldn't what? I couldn't bear to watch him die in front of me. But I'm not about to say that to his face. Just give me the shot, I say stubbornly. James narrows his eyes. I can tell it bothers him that I tried to intervene with his punishment. I'm not in the mood for introspection, though. Thankfully, he lets the issue go this time. He turns my arm until the inside faces him. Brown eyes are strained on trying to find my veins until he pushes the needle into my skin. I squeeze my eyes shut for a second. I never liked the sensation of getting a shot. Can't I do it myself? I ask once the liquid has filled my veins. This way I don't have to keep bothering you. No, he says quickly. His tone leaves no further discussion. He dabs a small cloth against the puncture wound from the syringe, cleaning away a few drops of blood. He's surprisingly gentle with his actions. I'll personally see to it your health is maintained. Because you can't present me when I'm damaged, right? I say flippantly. He certainly doesn't care about my actual well-being. James releases my arm, storing away the syringe and vial. That is correct. Negotiations will run much smoother when they see you're alive and well. Sorry to break it to you, James, but there won't be any negotiations. Not only have I lied about being some kind of royalty with worth, Eok is going to help me escape. This is not going to end well for him. If one lightning bolt from Cain sent him into an unconscious state, I doubt they can do much. He might actually die returning to Earth. That makes me pause. I feel like such a hypocrite. James is the entire reason why I'm in this predicament aboard an alien spaceship, but he did also bargain for my life with Veritas. I watched how he took that gruesome beating for me. It still eats me up inside. Because of that, there's a part of me that doesn't want him killed. Punished for his crimes, for sure, but to want him dead after he saved my life feels wrong. So I have to ask. Why don't you give up on taking over Earth? I ask of him. James actively scoffs at the notion, crossing his arms, looking amused. Princess, do you really think we'd be returning to your planet with friendly intentions? He asks, his tone sarcastic. Of course he's not. You can give up now, return me to my family. They might let you live. You may even be able to strike up a deal and help us against any further invasions. James chuckles darkly. You have quite the imagination there. I look at him, deadly serious. You could help us defeat Lord Veritas. That was enough to wipe the amused grin off his face. He's about to respond, his eyes already narrowing in anger, when I pipe up before he can talk. He threatened to kill your sister. I understand that. But what if we could work out a plan where that doesn't have to happen? What if we could help you keep Princess Lana safe? James suddenly enters my personal space, growling down at me. Do not speak of things you have no knowledge of, he hisses at me. Remember your place. I shut my mouth, but continue to stare at him. He's right, it's not my place, but if I could convince him not to attack, that would be the best course of action. James walks away from me and moves towards his desk, tapping a button. Come take the princess and escort her back to her chambers, he voices out a command. Not a second later, a soldier walks into the room to take me away. Why did Caleb come before? Now that I've met with Eok and gotten my medication from James, I can't stop thinking about all of the implications. What Eok told me about Lana being one of the leaders, her wearing a tracker, and Veritas threatening to kill her to keep James in line, all of it points towards the siblings being forced to work under this dictator. I'm not sure how they ended up in that situation, but Veritas seems to keep James under control by using Lana. Which means if Lana was safe, perhaps James could... No, that seems rather silly. I haven't seen anything to indicate he's secretly a knight of justice and would do the right thing. The man is still cunning and evil. Just because he saved my life doesn't mean his sins are forgiven. Even a broken clock is right twice a day. I need to sneeze. But that doesn't mean I shouldn't try to convince him. Veritas mentioned he'd come to Earth himself if James failed, and I definitely see him failing here, which means we could use his help against Veritas. He has a lot of inside information, of course. This is another CG chapter, I think. The second time I'm called into James's quarters, I immediately question him. Have you given it some thought? I ask when he pulls out the syringe to administer the medicine. James's eyes glaze over. Princess, silence. I need to concentrate. Ow! I yelp out in pain. He nicked me quite hard. I told you to stay quiet. James sighs and tugs on my arm. I huff and shut up long enough for him to prick me again and give me the medicine. You could join us, you know, I whisper. James runs his fingers through his hair, pushing it away from his eyes as he cleans up my puncture wound, ignoring what I'm saying. We have so many superheroes that are strong and capable, they'll put up a good fight against Lord Veritas. With bored eyes, James releases my arm. He doesn't seem interested in what I have to say and can't be bothered to tell me to shut up either. Zofahiro, he repeats in this strange accent. I caught his interest. Superhero, I repeat. I realize the word is not being translated by the device in our ears. That's what we call the people with unique abilities that fight for justice. And just like that, I've lost his interest as he goes to clean up the syringe and places it back into the vault. Go back to your chambers, princess. Fine. I'll keep trying. This time, James remains seated in his chair as he beckons me over. Your arm, princess, James asks of me. I extend my left arm to him. This will be the third shot. James notices something. I follow his line of sight. The area he previously nicked has a bruise formed. The skin surrounding it has turned a rather deep purple. What is that? He asks. I rub over the spot. Nothing, just a bruise from when you gave me the previous shot. James leans back in his chair, eyes focused on the bruise. It's really nothing serious. People get small bruises from shots all the time. Me for real. First the wound you sustained from well over a noon ago, and now this. Earthlings are too fragile, he says, brushing away his hair from his face. I've had that one before. Compared to you, maybe, I reply, not ready to get into another argument again. How is your back? I find myself asking, despite knowing the answer. I expect him to say it's none of my business, or that I should shut up, or any number of outbursts from him. But I'm surprised when James reaches out and curls his finger around my right arm instead, tugging me closer to him. My back is fine, he answers in an unusual soft voice, not taking his gaze off my arm. Rahu have accelerated healing, unlike your race. I know, you told me already. His thumb presses down on my skin. His touch is very light, as if he thinks I could shatter if he exerts more pressure. He's even using my other arm to administer the shot. Perhaps he's finally realizing the difference between us. I wouldn't say I'm fragile, but I guess when compared to someone who heals up holes in their body within a day, then yeah, I look quite fragile. Frail. Maybe that's why he's being extra gentle with me. James pushes the hair away from his eyes. It's gotten so long it keeps getting in his way. Ooh, we're so gonna get a haircut, CG. He scans my skin for a vein, ready to insert the syringe. I can't help but stare at him in silence as he tries to be gentle with his actions. This brute of a man who has caused me so much misery is actually showing me a caring side I didn't think he had. Well, I guess sacrificing himself to save my ass would count as caring. I never did thank him for that. He says his back is fine, but in that moment he must have experienced excruciating pain. Even if he recovered fast, no one should have to go through that in the first place. A lock of hair falls in front of his brown eyes again, obstructing his vision. Oh yeah. My hand moves on its own accord, fingers slide across his forehead, pushing away the hair and tucking it behind his pointy ear. His eyes fly wide open and he rolls away on his chair. He stares at me in shock, as if he's just been stung by a bee. I say, feeling awkward by his extreme reaction. Your hair was in the way, I mutter. All right, maybe I shouldn't have done that. James clears his throat, looking away and rolling back his chair into a normal position. That rattled him, but I'm not exactly sure why. He's usually very composed. Just stop moving before I hurt you again, he says with a grunt. Right, I agree, extending my left arm. This time I couldn't find the right moment to convince him not to attack Earth. so damn bored being locked up. How long do I have to endure this? Eok visits me, delivering my meal for the day. Eok, I exclaim happily. Princess, here are your provisions, he says politely. It's still a little weird to me now he doesn't speak in that funny way anymore. Eok, how much longer until we arrive? I'm going mad staying here all locked up. Eok pauses for a moment, trying to think. I believe we'll arrive in roughly 20 more days. 20? I groan. It already feels like it's been ages. Eok looks apologetic. I'm sorry, I can't do much. Captain is adamant you stay locked up this time. He says you have a knack for causing trouble. I huff. He's not wrong, though. Eok, is there anyone else on this ship that belongs to the Resistance? I ask him. If more people are on Eok's side, my chances of escaping grow larger. Alas, Eok shakes his head. Just me on this ship. What about Captain Caleb? Captain Caleb is probably the most loyal to Lord Veritas, Eok sighs. I recall Caleb at the Marker Festival looking for Veritas. Right, I remember he said he always gave his Macoet to Lord Veritas. I've been trying to convince Captain James to give up on his attack and peacefully surrender, I say. Eok looks flabbergasted. You're negotiating with the captain. Is that a bad thing? No, he looks unsure. He's listening? I pout. Not really. He tells me to shut up, but it's worth a shot. I'd much rather he not go to war with my planet at all. I don't want you to die either. He chuckles lightly. I'm not about to die just like that. This time will be different, Princess. Not only does the captain intend to use you in a deal, but we've brought along our strongest ship and more men. So there will be an even bigger bloodbath, I ask, horrified. Eok's brows lower, confirming my suspicions. I can't predict how it will really go down, but I will try to get you off the ship before the fighting starts. That worries me. Princess, do you have any way to contact the people who will keep you safe as soon as we land? That's a good question. My phone is deader than a potato. It won't even boot up anymore, let alone make a phone call. I don't have a way to contact anyone right away, however. We'll be met with an envoy, and I'm sure they'll recognize me. My face should have been plastered all across the news. The human that got kidnapped by aliens. That's got to make for a juicy headline, not to mention I still know many superheroes as a client. They'll recognize me and take me to safety. Princess, James's voice vies for my attention. What is it? I smell blood. His eyes travel down towards my legs. Oh, for God's sake. As I've told you before, it's a female human thing, I say. Yes, I'm once more on my period. This time, I'm a little more prepared because Eok got me some pieces of cloth I could use. It still sucks being on my period out in space, though. I can't even clean myself properly. I must smell even worse than I usually do. The mystery bleeding of the Earthling race has got me puzzled. What a strange defect in your evolution line, he mutters sagely. Let's just explain how they work, yeah? Annoyed by his heightened sense of smell and not just letting me deal with my period in peace, I bite down hard on my lips. Okay, you asked for it. Asked for what? Now listen closely. I'm going to give you a biology lesson. That won't be necessary. Roughly every noon, the human female is fertile and can be impregnated. I quickly shut him up. James narrows his eyes at me for being interrupted. Princess, now is not the time to. And, I cut him off again, when she is not impregnated, her body will dispose of the lining of her uterus, which manifests itself as blood exiting the vagina. It lasts for a few days. That's the reason I'm bleeding. We call this a period. I finally finish. James crosses his arms and huffs loudly in annoyance. I didn't ask to be lectured. I have no time to listen to your earthling nonsense. Come here and let me inject you. Are you saying you want to impregnate me? I gape at him. His jaw drops open and his arms fall by his side, limp. What? Don't suggest something so preposterous. He snarls at me. It seems I managed to rattle him. As if I, a royal prince, would ever consider doing such an act outside of my own race. I smirk at him. Then stop focusing on my blood, thank you. I'm fine. James grumbles something I can't understand. He then hastily reaches out for my arm. Look, your right arm is also bruised. I look down at the inside of my right arm. There's a blue spot where I've been shot before. Now both arms are bruised. I'll be totally honest, I hadn't even noticed until now. No matter how careful I am with the injections, your skin is still bruising, he states in a frustrated manner. Wait, is he actually worried about hurting me? I can't stop the amused grin from creeping up on my face. I have my doubts whether you'll be able to survive this treatment, he admits. Don't be ridiculous, you're only giving me injections. This is normal, I answer. He acts as if my arm will fall off at a moment's notice. This is not normal, he says gruffly, almost insulted that I suggested otherwise. Bruises, wounds, gashes, I've seen it all. It is my daily life. His fingers flutter across the sore spot on my arm. Never have I seen a species bleed voluntarily or turn different colors just because they were pricked with a needle. I guess it must be hard for you to reconcile the fact that other species don't just heal up their wounds within a day. James simply huffs, this time not responding. He looks a little unsure on how to proceed. Go on, I can still take it. I'm not going to break. You better be right, he says, brushing hair away from his eyes and sticks the needle in my arm. It's still not too late to end this on peaceful terms, I say out loud. Every single time I try and convince him to change his plans. You are a very stubborn creature, he groans. Go back to your chambers. Fine, but I won't give up. James cleans away any blood from my arm and clears his desk of the equipment before a soldier takes me to my room. She went back and forth, back and forth. Weeks have passed, and when I'm called to meet up with James in his quarters again, I'm excited when I walk past a window. I squish my face up against the glass. Earth. I can see Earth. We're almost home. Today will be your last shot, James mentions, already having everything prepared. The inside of my arms are purple and blue from all the injections I've received these past few weeks. At least the wound I've gotten from Caleb healed up, though it has turned into a scar. Are we landing soon? I saw Earth from the window, I say excitedly, surprising James with my good mood. Yes, we shall be arriving soon at our destination. James's fingers curl around my wrist and he twists my arm around to inspect my skin. It's scarring, he says, referring to the wound I received during the flogging. Yes, well, it's a given for me. It should fade from red to white in a few years, and then you're barely able to tell, I say optimistically. The tip of his finger trails the scar. It's a very light touch. It doesn't hurt or feel bad. It's the same, he mutters quietly. I raise my eyebrows. Same? A defensive wound, he says, and then raises his own left arm, rolling up his sleeve to show me his scar. It takes me a second to realize why he's doing this. It's the same type of scar as mine, though he's got 2 lines as if he was slashed with a claw. A defensive wound, he said. I raised my arm to protect him. Did James have to protect someone? Or himself? He must have blocked an attack when he was younger, or received a flogging, if his scarred back is any indication. His early life must have been very rough on him. We can still negotiate peacefully, I say quietly. To change your plan, to not attack Earth. We could help each other. Still have that idea in your mind? You never give up, do you? He asks as he rolls his sleeves back into position. I've been told I'm stubborn. I grin at him. I'm dying. And you have the nerve to keep challenging me. Must be in my blood, I say with a shrug. I'm surprised you still have any left after that horrible period of yours, he quips. I can't help but laugh, causing James to still. Briefly, he looks confused, wondering if he said something funny. You sound way too chipper despite your predicament. Well, he doesn't realize I have plans to escape. I'm just happy to be home again, I say, which isn't a lie. Wouldn't you be happy to return to your home again? James silently fills up the syringe with the medicine. My home planet doesn't exist anymore, he says, his fingers coiling around my arm. My eyes widen slightly. That's the first time he's ever confirmed he has a home planet. Even the shot doesn't disturb me from my thoughts. He doesn't have a home planet anymore. What does that mean? Are you the last of your kind? I find myself asking. James removes the syringe from my arm, not saying a word. Bang. The entire room shakes and echoes with a loud metal sound. Alarms blare throughout the quarters. I've been caught off guard nearly... Okay, so it's not going to be him getting a haircut. All of the CGs so far have felt very, like, action-based, you know what I mean? I've been caught off guard, nearly tripping over my feet. It's James who keeps me upright. The device on his desk lights up. Captain! A voice yells. James immediately walks towards the desk to respond. Speak! What was that explosion? HX-108 has fired a missile at us. It's much stronger than our shield can take. They're shooting at us, I screech. But I'm on the ship too. Why are they trying to take us down straight away? Can we run more power to our shield? James asks, trying to stay calm, but I can hear a sense of urgency in his voice. We used up most of the shield's power with the impact just now. We can't take another direct hit. Putrid mother's nut. There's a blast. I'm unable to tell what's going on. I'm floating in a silent debris. I can see the stars, the earth. Everything is spinning. Oh, I think I've seen this CG actually, maybe. There's no oxygen, no air. I can't breathe. The room has been obliviated. Yeah, I've seen this CG before. James hovers out in front of me, eyes open and still conscious. He's unable to move, much like I am. We're simply left to our own devices in space. The liquid of my eyes start to evaporate, drying them out. Instantly, I shoot out a piece of thread towards what's left of the ship, hooking it around a metal bar. I fling out my other arm towards James and shoot one more thread. The thread spirals towards James, who sees it. Grab it, I'm starting to lose vision. He reaches for it, grabbing hold of it. I tug on it hard, reeling him towards myself. Once close enough, James wraps an arm around my waist, holding onto my entire body. He grasps the other end of my thread and yanks on it, propelling us back towards the ship. Oops, I didn't mean to take a screenshot. I'm losing consciousness. It's so hard to stay awake. You know what? I kind of want this CG, actually. Flurry of footsteps echo around me in the darkness. Why is she still unconscious? I hear a very agitated James rage. I find it hard to move or even open my eyes. My eyes and throat are so dry. I feel extremely bloated, too. I notice there's some kind of mask on my face, supplementing me with oxygen. Never heard that word before. Earthling can't take outer space very well, says another deep voice. Genius observation made there. HX-108 has stopped firing missiles at us. That voice belongs to Khaled. We're losing so much pressure. We need to enter orbit and land. Prepare for landing, James barks loudly. Make sure the princess stays alive. All this yelling is giving me a huge headache. It hurts. There's some more frantic running around with someone else tending to me. Then soon I'm lifted up in someone's arms. We're going, Eok whispers. Is he taking me away? It's so hard to open my eyes. It's easier to doze off. The next thing I know, I can feel the vibrations of a machine. I hear explosions as well. It's hard to navigate the missiles, Eok says, concern rising in his voice. Suddenly I feel my stomach churn as the machine we're in does a loop. Are we in one of those drones? Brace yourself. I want a CG of Eok. Oh wow, this is familiar. Eok carries me outside. The fresh air fills up my lungs. I feel rejuvenated enough to crack open my eyes. The sunlight nearly blinds me. I'm so sensitive to the light. Eok, are we... I say, straining my eyes to see. We're on your planet, he confirms. Princess, can you walk? I can try. Eok gently lowers me onto the ground. I feel bloated still, but I have enough strength to keep upright. When my eyes have finally adjusted... My cat wants to come in for sure. Have finally adjusted, I can see that the spaceship is hanging above the city in the sky. Drones are flying everywhere. They're attacking. Superheroes are gathered around and launching a counterattack. So much for any negotiations. Where are we, anyway? I think we landed in some park. Oh, I know this park. A sudden yell alerts us. You vile creature! I don't know who's doing it. No, don't hurt Eok. Eok gets knocked onto the ground, unable to react at all. A superhero is on top of him, delivering blows to his face. Rage overcomes me, and I immediately conjure up 2 threads from my fingers. They wrap around the superhero's wrists to prevent him from punching Eok anymore. I need to get my cat. Come on! No, he's like, I want treats. I don't want to sit on your lap. Nope, not on the game. I then yank on the thread to cause him to topple off Eok, who hurriedly gets up from the ground. Thanks, princess, he says quickly, rushing to my side. Stop, I tell the superhero. Why are you interfering? Why are you trying to protect this alien? The superhero asks, dumbfounded. He's not the enemy. Do you need to get your eyes checked, lady? He's one of those aliens that came from the ship. Don't touch him, I threaten, my jaw clenched tight. Princess, I can use the drone to leave, he suggests quietly. Horror washes over me when I notice someone flying in the sky, coming towards us in a rapid fashion. I can see quite clearly that it's James. He found us, I say, pointing at the sky. What did he... No! I snatch the tracker from my arm and throw it on the ground, stomping on it. How would he have a blueprint of Earth? I forgot. The both of them turn around to look behind them, just in time for James to land in front of me. Ah, another alien, exclaims the superhero. The superhero tries to charge and attack, his fist extended, but James backhands him into the nearest tree. I screech, surprised at his strength. You, what is the meaning of this? James roars, directing his wrath towards Eok. Eok's brows droop in fear. He's trapped in a corner. Leave him out of this, I say, stepping in front of James. James roughly grabs my wrist, hoisting it up in the air. Inspiring? He glares at Eok. You convinced him to help you. You treacherous filth. I will Crackle. Kane! I'm blown aside, unable to tell what is up and what is down. You fucker, don't touch her. My eyes fly wide open. That voice, that profanity. Kane! I cry out of happiness. He's here. He threw a lightning bolt at James, who is now staggering away. Wow, he looks pretty cool. His hair crackling in a bright yellow-green. It's rare that I get to see him in his full superhero getup. How did you find me? I want to throw my arms around him, but we have more pressing matters to attend to. Careful, he warns me. Kane conjures a ball of electricity in the palm of his hand, clearly targeting Eok this time. Ah! Eok shrieks. No! I cry, jumping in between them. Don't hurt him. The fuck, Valkii? Kane awkwardly lowers his arms. Unfortunately, now that he's distracted, James launches a counterattack straight away, punching Kane's stomach. He goes flying across the grass and I scream in shock. Kane! I yell, running after him. Princess, watch out! Eok warns me, clutching my arm and preventing me from checking on Kane. Kane releases multiple beams of lightning from his body. They're surging around him, crackling loudly, ready to strike. He shoots one bolt at James, who dodges it by flying upwards, just in time for me to see Caleb flying towards us. Oh no, Captain Caleb found us too. I don't think we can. Eok is cut off when Caleb lands on the grass. He instantly phases in front of us, ready to fight alongside James. Kane, watch out, I scream. I know how powerful both these captains are. No way Kane can handle them on his own. Caleb flies towards Kane, but Kane keeps him at a distance with another bolt of lightning, which sizzles across the grass, leaving scorch marks. Captain Caleb, beware of the lightning, James hollers at him. Mind your own business. This small fry is mine. Caleb grins manically. He's lost control again. James appears in front of Kane, ready to punch, but Kane sends a flurry of lightning bolts from his body, making him roll out of the way. Grab the princess, James commands. Caleb's cold blue eyes land upon me and I freeze up. He's not in control. I don't know what he'll do to me. Caleb launches himself towards me, flying at high speed, but before he's able to reach me, Eok jumps in the way. Caught off guard, Eok uses the opportunity to kick him away from me, and Caleb stumbles across the grass. What do you think you're doing? He yells at Eok. Eok assumes his fighting position, but doesn't say a word. In the background, Kane continues to throw lightning bolts at James, who is forced to dance around the lightning to avoid getting hit. Captain Caleb, grab the princess and retreat, James barks at him, repeating his order. Hey, you assholes, I'm your opponent, Kane yells out loud before shooting a beam of lightning at James. James dodges it immediately, cursing under his breath. I'm so amazed that Kane is holding his ground. Lightning definitely seems to be their weak spot, and James remembers this from last time. One good hit, and he's out. Irritated that Eok interfered, Caleb turns his attention to him instead. He punches him in his stomach, causing him to fly backwards, skidding across the grass. Eok! I shriek, concerned for him. I rush over towards him. Princess is mine! Caleb yells, flying towards me. I said don't touch her! Kane fires a strong lightning bolt towards Caleb, who is unable to dodge. No, don't get hit! James flies in front of the bolt and takes the full brunt of it, preventing it from hitting Caleb. His armor burns to a crisp and he immediately collapses on the ground, completely fried. Captain James? Caleb asks, shocked at the sudden attack. James cracks his eyes open. His skin is scorched with burns, much like the first time I met him. It seems he can't move around at all. Kane got a direct hit on him. Retreat. James heaves. Protect Lana. Caleb looks at us, phasing back to normal. Phasing? I don't fucking know anymore. He's confused. I'm confused. But, he argues. Go! That is an order! James hollers. Caleb gulps and then launches himself into the sky, zooming away. Kane advances on James, who is barely holding on to consciousness. He readies a ball of lightning in his hand. Sitting there, unmoving, it's not Kane James looks at, it's me. There's this sorrowful expression on his face, and it's not due to the physical pain he's in. You have no idea what you've done, he hisses in discomfort. Lord Veritas is going to destroy us all. Kane steps in front of my view, raising his arm as he prepares to strike. End of the line, you motherfucker, Kane spits out. No, he's about to kill him. I go as fast as my feet can take me, slipping across the grass. My heartbeat is going out of control. I shoot a thread that catches Kane's wrist and I pull on it just fast enough for him to change trajectory and miss his lightning bolt attack. It hits the ground next to James instead. I rush to put myself in between both of them, spreading out my arms. Don't kill him, I pant. Valkii, what are you doing? He's not a threat anymore. Don't finish it, please. Behind me, James has already lost consciousness from taking a direct hit from Kane's lightning. He's held on for a surprisingly long time. My spread arms start to succumb to my emotions and I falter in front of Kane. Kane, I say with a hiccup, my arms landing on his chest. Kane, I repeat, tears welling up in my eyes. Kane's hair turns back to normal and without hesitation he pulls me into an embrace. I'm home, I sniff, my tears staining his suit. Took you fucking long enough, Kane grunts, his own tears spilling onto my cheek. Man, I want to keep going. But also I don't. Because it's like, I need to sleep. Is that my cat? It is. Oh no. Well, now I can't leave. Okay, I'll see you in the next one then.